Good morning, I am Mekla from AI&DS department. Today the subject is Big Data, in that the topic is Introduction to Big Data. So main topic I am going to cover in Big Data is evolution of data and what is Big Data, characteristics of Big Data, types of Big Data analytics tool, applications of Big Data, scope of Big Data, and then introduction to RStudio. So first topic is evolution of big data. So from first one we must know from where the big data has been come. Before exploring what is big data, let me begin by giving some insight into why the term big data has gained so much importance. So when was the last time you guys remembering using a floppy or CD to store your data? So let us guess, had to go back in the early 21st century. The use of manual paper records, files, floppy and disk have now become more obsolete. The reason for this is an exponential growth of data. People began storing their data in relational database system, but nowadays as the data is growing, these data are couldn't processed by using the traditional processing system. So this generation of continuous and massive data can be referred to as an big data. So there are the few other factors that characterize the big data, which will be explaining later in this block. So this pictorial representation will understand, I hope this will understand you the evolution of data. So in previous, that is in 21st century or 22nd century, in previous we have used the telephones, that is an landline phones. After that it has been came to the picture, that is an Android phone, smartphones, and likewise the same thing, that is an desktop. After that we are start using the laptops, and then car, nowadays that is an smart car, that is an driverless, without driver we are using. So this IoT plays a very major role in the big data. Let us see how this IoT plays a major role in big data. How will process the large amount of data on the real time basis and storing them using the different storage technologies. We must know from where the data is arising, and once the data is getting collected, we must know how this data are processed and how the data are getting stored. Okay. So next one is an social media. So social media in the sense, that is take for an example, that is your Facebook, your Twitter, your Instagram. So everything, all the data is, that is, and 500 plus terabytes of new data is getting ingested into the database. Okay. So these data is mainly generated in terms of the photos, your videos, you are uploading, and messages, sending the messages and putting the comments to your friends. So all these things are data. Okay. So these things we call it as an data. So you just understand this one. Social media is nothing but that is data which is generating from the your photos, videos, and all things we call it as an data. And then other aspects apart from that, what are the things we will say it as an data means, that is an Amazon. We think everyone knows what is Amazon, Flipkart, all these things are online shopping, right? So that is the first company to anticipate the potential of big data. It was one of the first online shopping sites to try innovative techniques to boost the sales, such as your product recommendations and then drone delivery systems and near home warehouse to drastically cut your shopping time. So in order to reduce your shopping time, so it comes to the picture, that is an online shopping. All these things combined lead to becoming the top online shopping store in the world. So all these things also we call it as an data. Previously we have seen in the social media. So apart from the social media, the second aspect is an online shopping, that also the data that is generating. Though again we have an that is what is big data actually. So before I explain what is big data, let me tell you what is it not. So everyone will have a mind, that is big is nothing but amount of data which is being collected. So that is a myth. Everything will understand big is nothing but that is a large amount of data. That is not actually the truth. That is refers to the large amount of data which is pouring it from the different sources. Actually we have seen in the previous slide, right? That is the data which is generated from the social media, the data which is generated from the Amazon online shopping. So that we call it as an big data. Okay, so even previously there are the huge data which were being stored in the database, But these data we couldn't store in such a database because the data are pouring from the different sources. We couldn't store the data, we couldn't process such that data. So the data must be stored in a rapid manner, that is. So big data is much more than a collection of data sets with the different formats. It is an important asset which can be handled and then it will give you the innumerable benefits. So actually this is the definition for you. So if you want to make a note of it, so if they ask you to write in 2 marks what is big data. Big data is the term of collection of data. So that is a large and complex and data is very difficult to process in a traditional system. That's what I am saying from the first slide itself. This is a large and complex data. We couldn't process those data in a traditional manner. Okay. So next one is third topic is big data characteristics. So from this pictorial representation you will understand there are the 5 V's of big data. First one is volume, variety, velocity, value, veracity. Okay, these are the another important 2-mark question in this, that is what are the characteristics of big data. We will see one by one in the upcoming slides. What is volume? Volume is nothing but this is related to your size, which is enormous. The size of data which plays a very crucial role in this determining the value out of data. So whether a particular data can actually be considered as a big data or not, you must know whether this data can be considered as a big data or not. It depends upon the volume, again the size which comes to the matter here. The volume is one characteristic which needs to be considered while dealing with the big data. It's up to you whether you have to consider that data as an big or not, that is an volume of data. So here next is an variety. So variety refers to the heterogeneous source. We know that what's the difference between the homo and then hetero. Homo means that is the same, the data which is arising from the same sources. Here it is an heterogeneous, the data will be arising from the different sources and the nature of the data. Okay, so that's we call it as an heterogeneous sources. Okay, so here you will have an that is an 3 types you will be seeing in upcoming slide also. I am just telling here what is structured, unstructured and semi-structured. Okay, during the earlier days there is an spreadsheets and database were the only source of data where the data is getting generated and it is stored there. Nowadays the data is which is in the different format we are getting, like emails, photos, videos, monitoring devices, PDF, audios, all these are. So we need to classify this data, which data will come under structure, which data will come under unstructured and semi-structured. Okay. And then these are the variety of unstructured data. Here there is given what are the data. Take for an example, your data is represented in rows and columns, means that we call it as unstructured data. If the data which is arising from the audio video means that is an unstructured data. Semi-structured, that is a combination of 2. Okay. So next is an velocity. Velocity is nothing but that is the speed of how fast it is generating from the sources, that is on various sources, from the social media, from the Amazon. So that are the sources from where the data is generating. Okay. So fast data is generated and then how fast we are going to process those data and meet their requirements and determine the real potential in the data. So this big data velocity deals with the speed at which the data is flows from the different sources like the business, process, application, logs, networks and social media. So these are the various sources from where the data is coming out. Okay. Next one is an value. Value is including a large volume and variety of data that is easy to access and delivers the quality analytics that enables the it will give you the decision. So veracity. Veracity is then quality, how your data is, how much amount of data is quality, and you are trusting the worthiness of the data. A lot of data and big variety of data with fast access are not enough, even though we have to process the data very fraction of a second we have to process those data and send back and then meet the real time analysis. So the data must have quality and produce the crucial result in order to meet the requirements. So now we will discuss what are the types of big data. There are 3 types of big data. One is structured, unstructured and semi-structured. So structured, so the diagram itself you will understand. See here, that is in structured data, your data are arranged in table, that is in rows and columns. The rows and columns, they will form a table. Okay, here unstructured data are nothing but that is your photos, your audio, video, all these types we call it as an unstructured data. Next, here they have given any data which is in the format of your that is your image file, your video file, your text file, all we call it as an unstructured data. So here I have given an example. The semi-structure is nothing but that is a combination of your structured and unstructured. Some data will be in the structured format, that is on rows and columns. Some data will be in the arranged in an unstructured format like your audios, videos, image files like that. Next one is on benefits of big data processing. What are the benefits you will get from the big data processing? So it will help for the business people, and then it will improve your customer service, and then it will earlier itself it will identify the risk of the product, and then it will provide you the better operational efficiency. So these are the benefits you can once you start using the big data. So what are the tools? How will you process the, so far I have told you from the data will be generated, and then you will collect the data, and then you will process. How you are going to process the data? For that you should have some tools like, that is an Hadoop is a tool, and then Hive, and then Apache Pick, Apache Spark, and then HBase. So these are the tools. With that help of the tool you will process the data. Next, applications, where and all we are going to use this big data analytics, that is for entertainment, that is on Netflix and then Amazon. So for that purpose you will use the big data, and then for insurance, that is uses the big data to predict the illness and then accidents, price their products accordingly. So driverless car, in the first slide we have seen, before we have an cars with a driver, after using the IoT we have an driverless cars, and then education and automobile, and then government, in the sense for election purpose they will use this big data analytics. Next, scope of the big data. So there by using this big data you will have a numerous job opportunities for the employees who are working in an organization, and then this will raising the demand for the analytics professional and salary aspects also. So the employers are willing to pay a premium above the salary, and then adoption of the big data analytics. So this will improve the growth of the usage of big data analysis across the world. Next, I just want to add the two more slides for you. Why it is? Because the big data theory, along ways you will have the big data lab also. So in that we are using the software tool as an RStudio. So you must know what is an RStudio. The RStudio is an awesome tool that can help you your work better and faster also, and this is a cross platform, and this will integrate, that is an IDE, integrated development environment. There you can use this as a statistical language, and then this includes here it will have 4 windows like a console window and then editor window. So that supports the direct code execution, as well as this tool for plotting the history, debugging and workspace management. Everything can be done at the same time. You can see there also I have added the that slide for you, and then this is a programming language, and then okay, this should not be the case for 2 reasons. First one is this is an interpreted language, that's what I told you, that is an cross platform. So not a compiled one, meaning that the commands typed on the keyboards are directly executed without requiring to be to build a complete program like other C++ program. So you no need to compile here, there you can see the result there itself. So the syntax is also very simple and then intuitive, and then here we are using the linear regression can be done with the command line argument. So this is the window, you will have 4 windows, there is an editor panel, console panel, workspace panel and plots panel. In editor panel you will be typing all the commands, that commands will be very simple also, and console panel if you have any errors, that error will be reflected in the console panel, and plots panel you will get the result, that is an output will be reflected there. Okay. So next slide. Here that is an R Studio, and IDE, this is built for R, the workspace browser. So, previously we have seen the browser, no, that is the thing, and then this is an compatible, and then this will work with an any version of 2.11.1 or even then it is an greater, and then this runs on Windows, Mac, Linux and even over the web using the R Studio server. So, this is all about your summary of your big data. So, the big data is defined as the data that is in huge in size. So, big data is termed as used to describe a collection of data that is huge in size and yet growing exponentially with the time. So, how you are going to use this big data generation? Using the stock exchange, social media sites. So, this could be structured, unstructured and semi-structured. These are the types of data, characteristics of data. You should remember these things. So, what are the possible questions? First one is best practices of big data analytics. What is big data, and then how you are going to use by big data, that are the applications we have seen where we are going to use that big data analytics, and the evolution of big data. So, in the 21st century, how your data is generated, how it is processed. After that, later on the terabytes of data is getting generated. So, that data is couldn't processed by the normal traditional system. That is what we are going for the tool, and then characteristics of big data, that is 5 V's we have discussed, and last one is outline the big data use cases. Use cases is nothing but where we are using that big data as a tool. Thank you.